Welcome to the Rusted Garden Homestead. In today's Friday morning ramblings, I'm going to give you a tour of the garden. The cool weather crops are doing well, the garden's finally cleaned up. I'm also going to give you a tour of the property and show you how I look at my outdoors as an extension of the house in the way of gardening rooms. And you'll understand that as I go through the tour. This is also going to be my first premiere video. I have membership perks now, and on those membership perks, one of the things is I'm going to premiere videos, and the members will be able to live chat with me as I show off the video. Don't worry, I'm still doing 150 public videos a year, everything that I've been doing for the last decade. But I've added in membership tiers. If that's something you're interested in, please check them out. So let's do the outside tour of the garden first. I'll show you my property, and then the second half will be a tour of the garden, the cool weather crops, and some things that are going on inside the fences. I set up my space, my outdoor space, so that there's a lot of sitting areas. I have a rectangle of about 2 acres, and it's really perfect for setting up this type of design. So we're at the gazebo, it's where I barbecue, we have a nice little fire pit. I have about 2 acres, it's set up as a rectangle, so it's really nice for creating rooms. At my gazebo, this is where we barbecue, places for fire, places to gather. So I have one view here. This is the magnolia, a swing, that's the old fire pit, the wood for the fires and all that kind of stuff. I consider this view one room, so I kind of design it with that idea that if I move from the gazebo over to there, the experience is a little bit different, and then from there you look out to the rest of the garden, and you'll get the idea as we go along, hopefully. But I put the gazebo in a place where I have a complete view of most of my yard. There's the garden. This I consider another room straight out there. We'll walk over there. And then you spin around here to where it becomes more shady, and we have this whole open space. I consider this whole rectangle right here another room. Out in the front I have elderberry trees, kiwis, figs, some fruit trees. There's more shade here, but there's enough sun, how the sun tracks around my house, that all the fruit-bearing trees are able to do their thing. But I consider this one view out towards the road, and then we spin back over here. This is really sort of view 2 and 3. You can see the garden, and then you come back around. We have the other room or view right here. When you come out of my house, you're hit with this view, and I consider this the garden room. I love being able to look out of my window from inside the house and just see the garden. This is the view I also get from my office. Again, it's kind of a square rectangle. You'll see the remains of fertilizers from a video I just did. So straight out here, we come into this open space. This is great for grandkids, now that I'm older. And then we can walk right out from this play area, or play space, or open space, right into the garden. So I have the house behind me, the front yard, this space, and then the fourth space back there, and actually compost is on the other side. When you come down the steps, we're going to be able to turn over to the old fire pit, the magnolia tree, and then spin around, and then you get to see the gazebo. So I've kind of connected everything, so no matter where you come out in my yard, you can stand in different places and have completely different views. You're going to see a lot of sitting areas too. As we're coming over to the front, or as we're coming over to the side of, sort of the front yard, that's the side yard, but you understand my point. A couple sitting areas in here. This is a nice little room of clay pots, annuals, some perennials in there, you know, minus the hose. It's a pretty nice looking space, and you can kind of just enjoy this, you know, sitting down on this bench, or you can sit this way, take a look at the shed, and then you start getting a glimpse of another room. I left this pathway in here so that it's something that you can walk. I let my dog run through here. She loves it. She is now trained to walk with me, which is pretty cool. Coming out, here's another bench. You could sit down, and you're going to be able to face the main garden and all parts of it. Again, another view. So rooms, yes, maybe more better put. I set up my yard to have lots of different views and sitting spaces, so it always kind of looks different. From here, you get to look into the property and see everything from this angle. All this space in here, I've actually redesigned it, all that netting, the ag fabric on there is to keep the deer from chewing down the new fruit trees. But you can even look into here, which I consider the fenced area, which is pretty common, to be a separate room. That's a whole different world in there, so to speak. There's small gardens, container gardens, you know, gardens that are out of control that I need to fix. But this is a play area for the dog, future grandkids again. Safe area, there's a fence, there's even a sitting area in there that you can look over the fence the other way, and then you would be kind of looking straight out to here. We'll go in there so I can show you that view. You continue down this path and it takes you into another open area, an open room. That's my wooded space. I don't know how big that is, but it's big enough for deer to live in there and sneak out of there at night and try and get into my garden, so it's big enough for that. My dog loves it. We're going to walk right up here so you can kind of just see it. This is a whole different room. It's not really safe yet for me to let kids in here because some of the trees are dead, but I will have these trees cut down. This is going to be another space, and I'm going to put some sort of structure in there. So it'll be a completely different room. From the wooded area, see my axe throwing pit, the composting pile and stuff is on the right. The main garden, you spin around and see the house too. You can continue along, not too exciting, the trash cans and stuff like that. And these are kind of like hallways that connects everything. This is the wooded area, so here's another view. I am actually putting lots of spent tomatoes, peppers, melons, all kinds of seeds all along here. I'm hoping to grow stuff wild out of here. Let me just show you this. And here's the idea. So I do that, and right in there, you can see it, is a spaghetti squash, I believe, that has just been vining up the wooded area. And let's see if we can get in closer. We'll come around here. But look at that, that's pretty cool. So I'm going to try and do that all through the edges of this property and just see what can grow. That might be a pumpkin of some sort, I don't know. So getting back off that ramble to this area, and when this is a little more formalized was going to be my point, there'll be some benches or something in here that you can sit. And then we turn out to the end of my property, another kind of play area, put in the magnolia there, which will get massive, evergreen, beautiful blooms. And then we'll walk all the way up to another point. And I think you kind of get the idea. You can try and set up your property so that you have different views, different rooms, but something that just kind of stays fresh when you sit on a different bench. And I have things growing and blooming at different times, so something is always changing here. That's a swing we just had put in, another bench. These are river birches, and the view from here really takes you out towards the house, to the garage. That tree was beautiful with beautiful red leaves on there. It's a maple, but they have fallen now. I've been collecting these for compost. And you have a new perspective right from here. The trees here, 1, 2, behind that 3, a couple on the other side of that bush. These are fruit trees, so this is sort of the start of my orchard. You would walk all the way down through here, and you'll come up to the driveway, and this is the entryway into the property. Those are pepper plants that have been growing there, and there are lots of peppers on there. They're doing really, really well. In here I have blackberries, a couple of peach trees, pear trees all along there, and this is the view you see when you come in to my property. All the trees have been dropped with the strategy behind them. I added in that area right up there to sort of be just ongoing blooms. It's November 4th. The forget-me-nots are doing really, really well. They're going to come back every year. They'll self-seed. But the honeybees right now are loving those. And we're by the road, so it's kind of noisy. But the honeybees are getting some late season pollen in November because the forget-me-nots are just blooming like crazy. Strategy behind here, these were all seeded. A couple of plants I put in that I got on sale. But the bees are just loving the forget-me-nots. There's cosmos in there, purple coneflower, butterfly bush, rosemary, thyme. This was just grass, so I decided to put some color in there. Along here I have different flowering perennials. That is Swiss chard, looking wonderful. And then we come into, I guess, the front yard, side yard. It's a work in progress. This is the area that usually gets neglected when I'm working out here and taking care of the garden. Let's go up to the deck. So when you would come into my house, you're going to be greeted with a crepe myrtle, blueberry bushes, fruit trees now, I just put them in, strawberry plants, and you can kind of walk into the house. We're not going to do a house tour today, my wife will kill me. Come right up this ramp that was here, and here's another sitting area. And we have breakfast out here a lot. Containers are kind of finishing them up. I'm not really taking care of them, but it's a nice little kitchen garden. It's easy to come out here, get herbs. This is going to continue to be peppers, but I'm dropping in, there's a fruit tree that just went in there. There's a dwarf fruit tree right in there and two more that I'm going to put in. So I'm really setting this area up for more fruit trees, fruits, and some basic vegetables. I just don't need all that space, so it was getting hard to take care of everything. My wife loves peppers. We're going to always have a pepper garden right in here. They do really well. Grapevine back there. But when you're sitting here, you can look out. You know, those white ag fabric things won't be there all the time. And you can just look out and see that view from this side of the fence. That is my perennial sort of butterfly garden and good insect garden. I just put a lot of stuff in there, including food crops that I can eat. And then the view you have coming out over here is out to that initial play area coming out of the house, the garden and all that. So that's the basic design that I've set up here. It's sort of rooms, I think you can give that to me, but really set up that you can sit in different spaces and just see your garden from different perspectives. And every season, spring, summer, fall, it changes. When winter comes, it'll just be a beautiful snowscape through here. I really like that part of gardening. And along with planting, growing, and eating, you just have to make time to really enjoy all the work that you're putting out. So let's go into the main garden. Here's the main garden. We'll go in there in a second. There is one more room I want you to see. This is a screen that I put up, so when you're sitting in different places and looking around, you don't see the axe throwing area. You know, you have to come out over here, you see the axe throwing area, otherwise it's somewhat camouflaged. This is the final room, and this is kind of maybe the back lot of the rusted garden. Compost, archery, spin around here, compost pile. I'm going to be putting in a small barn right there. I'm going to be building it myself, so I'm not sure how that's going to go. But getting rid of everything you see there, and then there's going to be a barn structure up there. And then this is the archery area. So it has multiple functions, entertainment behind me, the composting all right here. And you would continue through here to a smaller garden. This is sort of the show garden. Wait till you see this. I think it's probably overgrown. Not too bad. A little bit neglected. Peppers are still going strong. It's like 75 degrees today. It's crazy. November 4th. I had to take off my coat because it was just too hot. Coming around here is the mushroom garden. I think those are oyster mushrooms actually that made it through. I'll have to kind of look into that. I'm going to freshen this area up, but it continues in that we have the rectangle behind me, which is mostly compost. It's going to be some structures. This is part of my yard too. And then it takes you all the way around. I want to just show you the fire pit again. And we'll walk into the main garden from the east gate. Here is the original fire pit. And this is the view from the fire pit out to the rest of my property. And when we designed this originally, the first year that we got here, this was the only sitting area. The gazebo wasn't built. You could sit right in here and look into the garden. All right, let's go into the east gate. The garden's pretty much cleaned up how I want it to be at this point. Peppers and the vegeta beds are doing really well. They're actually staying warm in the root zone. I think that's helping. If you're interested in those, check out the video description. But this is where it's really showing off. This tall metal raised bed, the bell peppers in here are just going strong. November 4th. I'm getting so many I can't even harvest them all. So they're continually going into sauces, eggs, stir fries. Fruit area looks pretty good. The ginger is amazing. I'll be doing a harvesting video on that. Talked about that before. It's starting to die off because it is getting cold at night, but that is when it's ready to harvest. Artichokes, I think I mentioned, are going to be moved. I can see a ladybug moving in there too. So it's getting so warm, the insects are starting to come out again. So when we get over to the cool crops, they look really good. And it's been cold, and I stopped spraying and I stopped putting down stuff to manage insects, but they're starting to roll back in now this week because the temperatures have been so warm. Strawberry towers, I'm also affiliated with GreenStalk Garden. If you're interested in those, check out the video description. Wanted to show you this. I like the GreenStalk towers because you can grow in 5 tiers in a little 3 foot by 3 foot space. All kinds of greens in there, but this year, I'll be doing a video on this. I wanted to show people that you can actually grow radishes in here. So we'll hold on to that because that's absolutely beautiful. So I'm putting in probably 4 radishes per pocket right next to each other, 2 seeds right next to each other, and they look beautiful. Lots of greens are in. Endive, butternut lettuce, another wave of radishes. Jalapenos are still going into November. 25 plants in here. I'm going to do a little mini video starting with this, just showing how much has grown since May and going back to the original planting video. The asparagus is all pulled out. I took a weed whacker, cut down a lot of the weeds. All the tomatoes are out. I'll be harvesting the seeds from all the marigolds. Are going to go out along that wood line where I showed you. Kohlrabi is looking pretty good. Starting to get holes in there, and I'm concerned that white moth is going to show up, and I might get some damage from the cabbage looper again. I'll be putting down some sprayer dust probably today, this evening or something like that. I like gardening in the fall because once that cold starts rolling in, a lot of the problematic insects tend to go away. More cool weather crops, more than I need. All the peppers that have been grown in containers are doing extremely well. Lots of harvest. That's, I forget, 13 containers or something. But I'm growing 2 plants per, that's maybe like 24, 26 plants, and they're just doing absolutely wonderful. I'm going to keep growing in there. Every year, and this is what I kind of do now, is I kind of look at the trellising, think about how I design stuff, and just kind of modify in my head. What do I want to change? More radishes in here. Let's pull out something in here, see if it has some size to it. So that is a smaller daikon radish right there, or daikon. Let's see if there's a bigger one. A little bit tangled. You can eat the greens of these, but beautiful radishes are coming out. We'll put all the radishes right down there. Harvested a couple of broccoli heads out of here. This is where you can see some of the holes that are starting to show up, and that's something eating those. Gone. Beautiful head. Another head of broccoli right in there. I'll be cleaning up these beds. I don't think I'm going to be planting anything else. It's, the first week in November. I have lots of greens in here. Still putting the beds to rest. Did some videos with the ones over there by putting down leaf mulch and grass and all that kind of stuff. I mean, things look pretty good. The Facing Heaven peppers are all going to be collected. I'll be doing a seed collection for 2023 with seeds that come out of my garden this year. So we're going to do the Facing Heavens, we're going to do Scorpion, ghost peppers, habaneros out of there. Let's just take a look while we're here. This was the first wave of purple top turnips. I mean, they're looking good too. They're ready to be harvested, and I've been making soup. I just made a broccoli soup with turnips in it. It's really good. Brussels sprouts back there, one type of variety. Celery was planted in May. It's coming back now. Not getting, huge stalks, but I'm using the leaves in salads and in stews. Beets, radishes. Don't remember what this is. Hopefully it's cauliflower because I wanted to put a couple in there yet. But the greens are absolutely delicious. More salad, or more lettuce that I never got to harvest because I let that deer in and it ate all of those. I think this is cauliflower too. The Brussels sprouts look wonderful. Here's another tower. The new strawberry plants, or the transplants from other areas of my garden, have established. This is going to be a strawberry tower come the fall, or come spring. You can let your strawberry plants stay outside here in Maryland Zone 7. I am now shaking that and seeing whiteflies. That was a worry. And that's with the warm weather. You know, they were just gone. So I'll treat those, but the Brussels sprouts are coming in nicely. Other space, cool weather crops are rolling in. We have radishes back there, peas, kohlrabi, and even my garden here is set up as rooms. This is the fabric pot area. I might as well go with everybody I'm affiliated with. I'm affiliated with Root Pouch. You can find these at my seed shop, 10, 20, and 100-gallon pots. Spinach is growing in there. I forgot the name of it. This is Giant Noble. Kale, celery back there. More kale, love that. One of my favorites. That's really hardy. Second wave of turnips are in here. You can see they're a little bit smaller. Lots of insects flying around. This weather is just crazy. Swiss chard is rolling in. From this area too, you can look out to the wooded area. Perennial bed for butterflies and good insects. And you can just kind of see that even when I'm in the garden, I can appreciate the landscape around it. This bed, or this section, this little room, is for metal raised beds that are open. These were actually found at Tractor Supply Company. You can look around, find raised beds like that. The beans right there, they're all going to be harvested. That'll be part of the Rusted Garden seed package. But you get the idea for the rooms, and even my garden is set up that way, that I have a walking path right through here so that you can go through tunnels, and then you look to the right, you have a design that way. Look over here, you have a design. It's not the best design if you want to maximize production, but it is the best design for me because I get enough production, but I like coming out here and just enjoying the way everything looks. And this is going to look really cool come winter when I'm doing a ramblings and stuff is covered in snow. Hopefully a lot of these cool weather crops are still there. I really encourage you to enjoy your gardens in other ways besides being like, oh, it was a failure, I didn't produce enough, or I have this problem or that problem. That all shows up in all of our gardens. But kind of take that with a grain of salt. But try and just set it up as your space to enjoy, grow, share it with friends, you know, find peace of mind, whatever you need to do, because the garden's a whole lot more than just food production. Thanks so much for watching. Here's a quick look at the last radishes. I forgot to show off the no-dig garden. This is just cardboard put down and then about 4 to 6 inches of compost, the leaf mold that I make every year. Grows really, really well. In there are a lot of potatoes that are dug up now, but there's more that are buried. So I'm going to be harvesting a lot of those, eating them, but I'm going to save some for planting next March, most likely. I think I'll be able to do that. And these are a bunch of poblanos that I'm also going to be selling. I'm letting them kind of mature fully on there, turn red. I'll be collecting the seeds out of there. No dig gardens are really effective, and if you have the compost, I don't put any fertilizer down, no fish emulsion, nothing really extra but compost that I make. So this is really one of the most inexpensive ways to have a garden. Here's a last look at the radishes. Again, thanks so much for watching. Please check out the Rusted Garden, or please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com. And if you're interested in the perk memberships, please check out the video description. It'll show you how to get more information about them. Thanks for watching, and please enjoy your gardens.